stuff.
Are there any big differences that you've noticed in London? Like since you've been living here, have you noticed anything? Oh, compared to Europe, like what you feel you would have an interesting insight, I think, just because you've spent so much time.
I don't like I don't know I didn't get to know the really grassroots activists in London, but in Barcelona it's definitely people are eager, and because also like people like the activists have been institutionalizing themselves. There are lots of different projects. Barcelona has like two ongoing like European project called Making Sense of Decode. Decode is an amazing project that is about like using blockchain to give back data ownership to citizens, which is one of the big stakes of the personal data economy. And the other one's Making Sense, which is like through open source hardware building civic literacy for civic lobbying.
Okay.
Which is super cool.
Do you think so in London though, have you just not found a similar level?
Yeah, maybe because last year I was like really like between like I was in Spain and then I was like doing my dissertation, which was actually an impact assessment of Decid Imagine.
Okay, so you had to be involved, I guess, but
yeah, but in London, I don't know. I think it's like also cultural, because maybe I tend to relate more people in Spain. I think maybe it's easier.
I mean, maybe it's just house prices are so expensive that people, can't afford to be activists because they like. I don't know. One thing I was really worried about when I came back to London was, if you're an artist or someone, or if you don't work in finance, then you're not really going to be able to like make the kind of money that you would need to live in, nice areas in London.
This is yeah.
So
Sorry.
is that like a common thing? I mean, in Berlin, I guess they have rent controls, and it seems like a lot of people from London, especially, have been moving to Berlin, and you hear stories of this all the time. Does that contribute, or do you think that there's something more fundamental happening in London, which means that you don't see as much?
No, I totally agree. I think like in Barcelona, you can live with not a lot of money.
Yeah.
In London, it gets really complicated, really quickly, and also because of this cooperative tradition that is really rooted within the civil society. There is this sense of solidarity
in Barcelona
that I don't see in London.
Okay.
And of care, or maybe it develops differently and I don't have an eye for it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think one thing I've heard a lot about from people who come to England from afar or from other places are that they feel like British people are very cold, or there is this standoffishness which could be seen as stiff upper lip. Yeah, I mean, it's like you can interpret it in different ways, but the way that I heard it was like it's a coldness and there is this kind of disdain towards other people or something, or a desire to be alone, or a desire to be individual.
And I think even in London, there is also like sometimes it's so difficult to meet up with friends because everyone is so busy.
Right. Why is everyone so busy though? Is there an explanation for that?
I think especially in London, there's kind of this competition for like doing lots of stuff and a lot of school stuff. Okay. And also the city is big. I don't know. On the other hand, everyone is busy with work, and I think the city is really demanding when you want to have a social life, professional life, and potentially like activism on the side. It gets really complicated really quickly.
So I think one thing that a lot of Londoners struggle with is envisioning how it could be different, right? Because it's like, do you have a sense of that? Like, could you have a city like London that wasn't demanding? Because then would you lose all of the things that makes London so vibrant and special? If you didn't have people working 18-hour days or whatever, then like is it worth it?
But in the end, do you see those people around?
Right, exactly.
I
guess on Friday nights you do.
Then it would depend what kind of what are you looking for. That's it's a bit cheeky, but no, I think it's a fundamental difference of scale. Barcelona, you can cross the city center in like 15 minutes by bike, and it has like it's way easier to find your tribe, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Whether it is an activist tribe or like your
just because of physical proximity, maybe. Yeah, no, it's true. Like a lot of my friends in London will live really far away, so it's like if you want to meet up with people, you have to plan well in advance because you're requiring like a 40-minute journey. Yeah. Or and a lot of people plan things out like far in advance, I think, in London. So it's quite difficult to like get onto people's calendars and schedules.